Hello and welcome back to Holy Discourse. We are going to watch someone who was an ex-Satanist and just hear their testimony. So, I've watched this guy talk about with Michael Knowles. There was another one that I was watching earlier today about his book that he released of like kind of Satan's plan and how to like not fall into that and all sorts of stuff. But I think this guy's just kind of, he's really interesting. He talks different than most Christians talk, but that's because he's had a different perspective on being on the other side. So, yeah, I thought this would be a good one to kind of just watch.
The Virgin Mary and so be God. But they're the idols. And this is supposed to be Michael, the guardian angel. What is it? They got it at Michael. You know that, right? And look. Santeria, all the witchcraft. And this is the stuff that I had, the caldero. This is the caldero. And this is remember remember the tabernacle, right? When people met Jesus, they had to meet Jesus. This is the tabernacle of the devil. This is the tabernacle of the devil. This is the tabernacle of the devil. I grew up in a neighborhood that, first of all, the first killing that I experienced feet away from me when I went to go and get a gallon of milk was only 10 feet away from me. They shot the guy like 7 times. They shot him 7 times. As a young boy, I seen killings after killings after killings. In order to survive in the streets of the South Bronx, you have to be a killer. You have to be a murderer. You have to be smart. You have to be slick. My father's side was all witches and warlocks. We lived on witchcraft. We had a contract direct with the devil himself. My father, I remember when I was younger, like 8, 9 years old, I would see him go into the room to worship the devil, and I could feel the presence of the devil come into that room. And my father would worship and speak in tongues and demonic tongues and worship and put flowers and put candles and put water at 7 o'clock at night.
As someone who's experienced probably demons, I wouldn't assume they were just ghosts, just with how angry it felt. I can't imagine calling that into your life and being like, yeah, I want to worship that. Like, because I just, when that happens, like when I'm in a place where like some evil spirited thing, probably a demon, is at night, like if I get up to go to the bathroom and stuff like that, it's like, especially, I don't know what it is about hallways, but in the hallway, like it just feels like someone's like staring at me and like really angrily too. And it's not everywhere I go. It's not, you know, the place I live now, I don't have that trouble at all. But there's been a few places that I've lived where it's like, it happens every single night I go to the bathroom. It's just like, I don't know what it is about hallways, but it's always in the hallway where it's just like that, just so angry, and I just feel fear too. And I can't imagine calling that into your life. And, you know, I've also had experiences with God and just like so overwhelming joy and love. And I'm like, that's what I want, you know. I'm like, I can't imagine inviting the other side in after experiencing what I've experienced, at least.
Till 5 in the morning, I was already going to demonic church. I was going to witchcraft church. I was being trained to be. I was being trained to be a warlock. I was being trained with witches that were in the religion for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. They was training me to learn how to speak to principalities, spirits in the ground, the devil himself. You couldn't speak to the devil right away. You had to earn your right to speak to the devil. Mass killing. The first mass killing that they did in my neighborhood was in this house right here. The husband stabbed the lady 52 times and cut her ears off here. And then me and my brothers would hang out with their daughter, and we came to the house to walk them back home because we're hanging out with the daughters right here. And the daughters found their mother cut up to pieces here in this house. I was in the schoolyard playing with some friends in the schoolyard, in the pastor.
I didn't realize like his story was that into Satanism. There's actually a really good documentary on Netflix about the son of Sam, and they start to enter into Satanism because the dude that was I don't know if I can't remember if he was a detective to find him, or I don't remember exactly who the guy was, but he was like looking into, oh, this seems bigger than just the person that they call Son of Sam, and it seems like devil worship, and they started going down that path. And I believe even the Son of Sam like wrote the dude a letter and was like, no one's ever gonna believe you that this is a thing. Like, you're gonna waste all this time. And the dude did, like, to his death, like he still wasn't able to prove a bunch of stuff, that this is a whole entire group. And so it's just bits and pieces of evidence, and if you follow all of it, you're like, okay, I can see how this comes together. But if you're just looking at it like little pieces, it's like, how does this connect all together? Like, you're just crazy. You're just, you're just going after breadcrumbs. So, and from the Michael Knowles interview that I watched, this dude, I don't remember his name. I'm terrible with names. I'm gonna have to check real quick. I think it's John Ramirez. Apparently he writes letters to the Son of Sam, and apparently the dude called Son of Sam has given his life to Jesus and has left that past. It's just fascinating roads that this come, and not good roads. Just, I'm like, I don't understand how people get led down that road, but yeah.
They had this band came in, and I think they had people atmosphere, amazing joy in that school. And I came from a broken home. This pastor's up on stage, and he's talking about some Bible story and some Bible book, and he's talking about how God loves everybody and all this other stuff. And I'm, for the first time, I'm getting kind of captivated. Wow, maybe God does love me. Maybe God wants me. Maybe God wants my family. Maybe God wants to touch me and my family. Maybe he wants to change my family around. And I said, well, I can get some of that. I'm going to get some of that because he's coming my way. And this is, and the first time ever, I felt an incredible love that was undescribable. This pastor's coming off the stage and praying for people, touching people. So I said, now it's my turn. Now he's going to touch me. Now Jesus is going to accept me. Jesus showed me what love is about. And this pastor passed me by. Never touched me. Never laid his hands on me. He went down the line, and when he came up to me, he passed me by and touched the other person. And I said, well, Jesus don't love me either. My dad don't love me. Jesus don't love me. We come from a broken home. Jesus, he likes the fact my mother gets beat up. He likes the fact that me and my brothers go to bed hungry. He likes the fact that, there's no heat in my apartment. He likes the fact that when we go to school, we reject misfits in school. So this Jesus guy, he's just like my father. He's no difference. He's just like my dad. So I went home broken. I went home sad.
The strange part is like, he felt the love. He felt all. The strange part is like, he felt the love. He felt all that, he had an encounter with Jesus, and he's like waiting on the patches to touch him, and it's like, it's not about that. It's about like, you had the encounter. You had it. And I think so, like, I'm guilty of this too, so I'm not trying to throw this man under the bus. I'm saying, like, if you do this encounter and we're doing, and that might just be Jesus' encounter for you, is like, just to be like, here's love, here, giving you what you need. But you're like, no, I wanted like this huge experience, where the pastor lays his hand on me and I'm like bawling my eyes out or whatever, and it's like, you got the experience that you needed, and you just didn't absorb it. You just didn't take it. And I've done this so many times. I'm not trying to sound angry towards this dude. It's more anger towards myself, because I've done this thing so many times, so many times that it's ridiculous. And I usually remind myself of the Israelites coming out of the desert and them literally seeing the red part sea, literally seeing like, not plague, what do you call it? Where Jesus basically passed over some of the houses and didn't kill the firstborn versus killing some firstborn because they didn't believe in God, and they didn't, God warned them, like, hey, this is coming. Like, if you, mark your house, I will pass over, but if you don't, then tragedy is going to strike. And the Jews are seeing all this. They're seeing, staffs turn into snakes and all this other stuff. And it's like, they just rejected God for a bit. Moses went up to go get the 10 Commandments, and My theory is, I can't say yes or no on this. Is my theory is they kind of maybe not seen God. How do I want to explain this? Kind of see Moses as not just like a vessel God's using, but sometimes I feel like they kind of treated him as a god, sort of, if that makes sense. Like they're like, oh, he's the only one who can talk to God, or he's the only one, like he's got the power, no one else has the power, and all that. Sometimes I feel like the Israelites maybe put a little too much emphasis on Moses when Moses is just a vessel. Moses is just a person, you know. The only reason he got to do what he got to do is because God was like, hey, I need you to do this. Can you do this for me? And Moses was like, I got you. Like, Moses isn't all powerful and this big, huge thing. Moses is just, you know, some redneck off the street as well. So I always remind myself of that situation of, like, you know, even like the Israelites rejected him when they get to see huge, amazing, wonderful miracles. And I have too. I've got to see miracles in my life. And sometimes, you know, I take it for granted.
I remember that a week later, a couple of weeks later, a week later, 2 weeks later, I was at a schoolyard, hanging out, playing with. I remember that a week later, a couple of weeks later, a week later, 2 weeks later, I was at a schoolyard, hanging out, playing with a friend of mine, and I heard something fell and hit the ground, and it was a voodoo necklace. So I took the voodoo necklace, it had many colors, I took it, I put it on, and the necklace was my first contract with the devil. We went to a tarot card reading, and when I went to the tarot card reading, as a little boy, at 10 years old, we went in. The lady that was doing the tarot card, the witch lady that was doing the tarot card reading, she got fascinated. Her eyes was fixed on me, and she said, "This boy, we want him. The research was Santeria, kind of one spiritualism."
I know some people get into tarot card readings, and they're just literally kind of like innocently playing with them, but it's also like, what are you inviting? You know, it's like Ouija boards. Like, some people just play with them because they just want to, like, play with them, and, you know, they're not trying to make deals with devils, or, you know, they're not trying to do all that. They just want to play with it, and it's like, dude, that's risky. That's real risky.
Spiritualness is Pedidimo in Spanish. Santeria is they call it worship of the saint, but it's not worship of the saints, worship of demons. We want him, and if you don't give it to us, he's going to lose his eyesight in 30 days. So my mother was so desperate as a mother. My mother saw her furniture. My mother saw her bed. She saw her bedroom set to get $250 to do my first ceremony, because this lady put so much fear in us, so much fear in my mother, that my mother had to sleep on the floor because there was no bedroom for her to sleep into, because she didn't want me to lose my eyesight. So they initiated me to the dark side at the age of 10 years old. So the first love, the first...
That's another thing, is, so he's talking about his family was a bunch of Satanists, and they're going to this tarot card reading, and this lady is like threatening him basically to do like some sort of spell thing or deal with the devil or however it works, to lose his eyesight. And it's like, how do you not see that and go, like, no one here, not only is the devil not looking out for you, but no one who is following him is also looking out for me. They're only looking out for their family. If their family is structured that way, their family could also turn on them. Because I think he said I think it was like his grandma or something. I forget who he said it was, but it was in the Michael Knowles interview. He said that one of his family members was fighting with another family member, and they were like threatening each other basically with just making deals with the devil and doing all this. And it's like, man, you can't even trust your own family. That's gotta be scary. That's gotta be terrifying. I can't imagine going down this path.
Encounter I had as a 10-year-old boy with the devil showed up and took the offering of giving my life to him, and they put 5 beads around my neck, the 5 worst the 5 worst demons of principalities that are under Satan. They put them right under my neck, which is Santeria. They put them right under my neck, and they said, these are going to be your spiritual guys, and this is going to be your guardian angels, and they're going to take care of your life from now on. And my whole childhood was stolen. My whole childhood was worshiping the devil, going to demon church. I would go to demon church from 7 in the evening to 5 in the morning, being trained by witches and warlocks, colors, principle, rights. Who owns this region? Who's in this region? Who's running this principality? What principality name is this? I had how to channel powers. At the age of 13 years old, I was astral projecting my body. I would leave my body home and go to regions and go into the spirit realm and curse dark side, curse neighborhoods, put spirit of prostitution, further.
Okay, so I did not go down this path, but I have astral projected before, and it is, again, it's one of those things like playing with Ouija boards and stuff like that. It can be like, oh, this is really cool, but again, what are you inviting? What do you know? Because if it is, your soul leaving your body, like, you're out of your body at that point. What's going to try to enter your body?
in the neighborhood. Homeless spirit here, demonic spirit here, spirit of murder, spirit of suicide. I know how to channel all those spirits into the neighborhood. At the age of 15, 16 years old, I was going into hospitals and putting death in ICU, death in one room, so this person can die because I wanted to be promoted with the devil, to move up the ranks, to be the biggest devil worshiper in New York City. The devil became my daddy. He replaced my dad because I prayed and I said, you killed my dad. At the age of 33 years old, my dad got shot in a nightclub in the face by a woman that wasn't even his when he had to go up and home. And the devil took him out. The devil said, I replaced the old to keep the new. And the devil became my daddy. There was a club here, and my father died there at 33 years old. And we lived over there. And then remember when I was 11-year-old boy, there was a store right here in the corner. And the guy got shot right there in the street right there, right next to the little corner here. The guy got killed there when I went to get the gallon of milk. And I moved up the ranks from devil worshipping. I moved up the ranks. I moved up with principalities and demons to the point that I was able to sit with the devil like I'm sitting with you today. And the devil would manifest himself in human form. Or the president would come into the room, and I would speak to the devil all night long. And he would give me assignments. I would go to 5 clubs, 4 lounges a night to look for people to recruit to the dark side. I would tell people their fortune. I would tell people their lives. I would tell people things that they did, things that was going to happen to them. That they didn't have a clue who I was. They didn't know who I was. I just had the demonic powers. I had a taste for blood. I would kill animals and drink the blood every week. If I didn't have money to.
I mean, that's the thing is like demons are watching. They kind of understand like your patterns and what you do and what you've done and all this other stuff. So, yeah, I can definitely see him going up to people and be like, "Hey, this is what you've done, and like, you know, these are your patterns. So this is probably going to be your future and all this other stuff." So, and I'm sure it would, like, if someone did that to me, it would freak me out, you know.
I didn't have time to buy an animal. I would cut myself and drink my own blood. The ring of the people that I was with, that was in this demonic world, doctors, lawyers, principals, judges, police officers, they were all into witchcraft. There was all, even singers today that are very well known. I would move principalities on that region to control all demons on the ground, to operate the church, to cut down the church, to cut down the growth of the church, to cut down the opportunity for people to get saved. I would be drunk. I'd come out of a club and I would have demon possessed, drunk. I would stand in the middle of the street and say to God, come down. You want some of this? You want me to slap you in your face? You want me to spit you in your face? You come and mess with me. I got married on Halloween. I had a demonic wedding on Halloween. I got married on Halloween. All the demons and principalities from different regions around the world came to my wedding. No human beings came to my wedding. They were afraid to come to my wedding. So I had a crazy. I sent out invitations. No one showed up. You know, so there were no wedding gifts. But demons came to my wedding and baptized my wedding. So my wife was a witch. I was a witch, and then my daughter was born, and I was training her to be a witch too. I remember the first time that I was going to sacrifice my first human being. The devil sitting in the passenger side of my car when I parked. He said, "You love me?" I said, "Of course I love you, Daddy." He said, "There's a guy on the rooftop. He's going to try to take you and take your money or hurt you. You kill him if you love me." So when I went up there, I lived on the 12th floor. I remember that. And when I went up to the rooftop, I remember the part that he was hiding behind. He was hiding behind the stairway. And this guy was like 6'5", 250 pounds. I was half demon possessed. I felt that the demon went in me, and it wasn't even me anymore. So I was going to drag him into my apartment and stab him in the neck because I had a cardrone pot with weighed about 100 pounds plus, and I had like 9 machetes in it, and I had knives in it that I used to kill the roosters with. But when I went to grab this guy that I wanted to bring him apart, he just went off my hands and just disappeared. He went down the story. I mean, this guy was like an Olympic athlete. He just whoosh, he just gone, disappeared, and I couldn't grab him and kill him. So I was very disappointed that I couldn't kill my first human being.
I mean, in retrospect, I'm sure he's like, "Oh, thank God, that, you know, that nothing bad ever happened. That dude could just be free."
What is this place?
This is the Botanica. This is a place that everyone in the Bronx come here to buy the ingredients to do witchcraft and hurt people and kill people. This is the place. We can go inside. Come on, let's see if we can find something. If I tell you I was going to kill you in 30 days, you prepare your funeral. You was going to die in 30 days. I don't care who you were. I don't care who you knew. I don't care what you call yourself. If you were Catholic and you said you were Christian and you said you were a believer, I was going to kill you. Unless you had a real relationship with Jesus Christ. And the lady that lived downstairs, she came up and she told me, "My husband is cheating. I want you to kill the woman that she's cheating with. Put a witchcraft spell on her and kill her. How much you charge me?" I said, "Well, come back. I'm going to speak to the devil, my daddy, and I'll let you know. Come back in a couple of days." So the lady came back. The devil told me what to buy. He said, "Buy a coffin box, buy 21 black candles, buy an image of the lady, put it in the box, you know, to do the witchcraft, to kill this lady." So we were going to do her for 21 days. She was going to die. After 21 days, we were going to do her funeral. So when the lady came to me, I said, "I'm going to charge you $10,000. I told her to kill the lady." She said, "Sure." She said, "I tell you what, I know you. You've been good to me. I go to your house parties. Give me $7,000. I'll give you 30% off." I said, "I'll kill her. I'll give me 30%. I take 30% off the 10. Give me $7,000. So when the lady was going to leave my house, she said, "By the way, she's a Christian." She said, "The lady's a Christian." I said, "I'll kill her for free." I said, "I don't need the money." I said, "I'm going to kill her for free. I'm going to teach these Christians a lesson that they're going to learn. For free. I kill free. So I did the voodoo thing, I did the witchcraft thing, and 21 days went by, the lady didn't die. A month went by, the lady didn't die. And I was like, wow, what's going on? I mean, my reputation's on line. So I called the devil, I called the demons that was son. I increased the witchcraft. I increased the witchcraft. I doubled the witchcraft on it so she can die like overnight. Nothing was going on, nothing was going on.
Yeah, the thing is that lady has no power, but Jesus sure does.
I was home at night and the devil shows up. And I feel the presence of the devil comes into my mouth. And then the devil told me we have to abort the plan of the lady we want to kill. And I said, why would we want to abort the plan? My reputation on the line. I'm a witch, I'm a warlock. If I don't kill the lady, they're going to think that I don't have any powers. The devil said, you don't understand. The God that she serves said, don't leave her alone. Don't touch her. And I said, who's this God? She said, the God that she serves. So I was so angry. I was so saying, no, but let's get one more week, let's kill her. And he said, no, the God that she serves said, leave her alone. From the witchcraft that I did to the lady, she should have been dead in less than 21 days.
That's insane. So the devil has all this power and he's like moving around and moving crap and murdering people, but he still listens to God when God's like, no, you can't hurt this. No, she's under my protection because she follows me and she, insane. Because the devil tries to like be like, oh, I'm all powerful, I'm all this and I'm all that, and it's like, no, you're just like a cheap imitation. Like, even like Egypt again, like the witches or whoever they were trying to do the same thing as Moses was doing, just to show like, oh yeah, we have that power too, and all this and all that. And then it was kind of like God kind of like took it to the extreme, like, oh, really? We really want to like go this far? Like, we can go there. And just kind of show them like, you may have power, but you do not have power over me.
How you doing, man?
It's gonna crack me when I see it.
This is Jezebel. This is Jezebel in religion. This is how it works. See, these statues here, this here told me nothing, but it's the demon behind it. So in order for me to identify to this has to be created, because I can't identify to a spirit. I can't identify to because the spirit we don't have nothing in common. I'm humanity. A spirit is immortality. A spirit is a spirit demon. I can't relate to it. So in order for me to relate to it, he has to put this guy in the middle so I can relate to it because he's human form. He knows how to be human being. There's a story behind this guy, so now I can relate to him. So the demon operates to him. Understand? Same thing with these guys. And then they give themselves names and days and birthdays. These are how the American Indians get caught up with demonic forces, and they get caught up into the occult. These are the entrapment of the Native American Indians. But there's a statue that the people that use to camouflage the demonic ways and demonic origin. There's nothing here that is holy. There's nothing here. The only thing that's holy here is us standing here.
I mean, that's something I worry about as a Christian a lot. Is like, even like the symbol of the cross, and and see like pictures of Jesus and whatever that people have created, and it's like you don't want to pray to that picture. You want to pray to God, and you're not praying to the cross. You're praying. So you have to be very like intentional of like thinking about like, am I just praying just because like I'm seeing a cross and that's what like that's like, am I connecting the how do I explain it? Like, am I looking at this and am I just praying to this, or am I actually like praying to God and being like, I see the cross and like I'm reminded like, oh, he's done good for me, so I'm gonna pray to him, maybe thank him, maybe do whatever, but I'm not praying to that cross. I think the symbol of the cross and stuff like that, yeah, it's a good reminder of like, hey, like this is what happened, all this other stuff, but you have to be very intentional, like you don't want to make it an idol, or you don't want to make it like a symbol of like that's what you're praying to. So you have to be very careful.
What happens in this place? Like what?
Here in the back, they do witchcraft, they do voodoo, they do witch spells in the back, they do cleansing in the back. Over here, all these demons, they want you to buy these statues so you can take a demon home. It's like the prayers. So they make you believe that you pray to God. Look, see, I used to use this book to facilitate the prayers. They make you think that you're praying to God, but these prayers are not God. They're not godly prayers. There's nothing in the Bible that says nothing about the Bible, the crucifixion. We had a book in New York, in America. I was the third person to get this book that has symbols of the book, of different demons, of different principalities, of different way of killing people through witchcraft. And this book was no one had a copy of this book. You couldn't have a copy of this book unless the devil signed off on it. And I was the third person that received that book. And I would take symbols from that book and do witchcraft to people and put people and make people lose their mind. I put witchcraft on people, make people get diseases out of nowhere. I put witchcraft on people, make people get leprosy. I put witchcraft on people, make people get cancer. I did witchcraft to people. I gave people miscarriages. I gave people abortions. I put people in hospital for surgeries that didn't even have to go surgeries. I did witchcraft so people can lose their minds. I put spirits of bipolar, schizophrenia. I put spirits of disease on people. I put suicide spirits on people. I'd be up all night long praying and talking to the devil. When Christians can't even go to church for 1 hour. When Christians can't even pray for 1 hour. The spirit realm is more real than the natural realm. And we fail to see that. And whatever is not covered with Jesus Christ is an easy target.
That's what I was going to say a little bit before, is like, I mean, it sounds insane, but like, it, as someone who's experienced stuff like godly stuff and demon stuff, like, the spirit realm is so real, and it's hard to wrap your head around, because it's usually not stuff that you see, it's just stuff that you feel, and and I don't want to say like hear, but like, I guess hear sometimes. Like sometimes you'll have a thought and then you're like, whoa, where did that come from? And you kind of like break it down and you're like, oh, and then you're like, okay, this was like a kind of like a godly thing of like working through stuff. And usually my mind is blown by the end of it, and I just like, I need to shut down for like 10 minutes because I'm like, what just happened? I need to tell someone. But it's so hard to explain that's real, because it's like, for example, like if you're telling like a doctor like, oh, someone, cast a spell on me or did this or that, like how is the doctor supposed to like help you? Like, oh, here's some medicine, or here, it's not getting to the root problem. And how do you, like, doctors aren't equipped with that. At the same time, like, you could just be like born with something like, oh, you do need medicine, or you do need this or that, and it's like, then if you accidentally go to exorcist and they identify the problem wrong of like, oh, no, you just need an exorcist, you don't need a doctor, and it's like, then they're getting the wrong treatment that they need versus someone who's getting the wrong treatment at the doctor. It's, for people, I feel like it's so hard to diagnose, and it seems like two different polar opposites, but really it's a lot closer than we think.
To bring down. Like the atheists, I can kill them easily. They were easy to kill. The Jehovah were easy to destroy. Bring down. Like the atheists, I can kill them easily. They were easy to kill. The Jehovah Witness were easy to destroy. Moment later, it was easy to destroy. The people that will walk around and say we don't believe in the devil, they were easy to destroy because they will not seek any spiritual help. I remember the time that Nikki Cruz group came into my neighborhood, and it's called Truce. They would come and do drive-bys in my neighborhood. They would do like worship, and then they would preach a word and go to another corner, do the same thing. And I came after this group to try to bring them down, this group. And they were young kids. They were like 18, 17, 16, 20. I mean, so I said, how dare they play this junk, this filthy music in my neighborhood with them, today we call it. This filthy music in my neighborhood. I'm going to go after them. I'm going to destroy these kids. So when I went up to where they were at, there was a wall of fire around them. I couldn't penetrate and touch them. And there was something pushing me back. Every time I tried to throw demonic forces again, there was something that would just push me back. And I was able to touch these kids. And I said, there was something here. It's not right. Something is not falling into place. So I walked away and I left them alone. I didn't want to deal with them. I said, okay, they won this first round.
So there's obviously spirits here watching us.
Watching us. Of course they're watching us.
Yeah, and so we're all protected.
We're protected. Yeah, we're under the blood, but they're not like the blood of Jesus.
Okay.
Amen?
Yeah,
we're all protected, but they're nothing they can touch us. Because what we got a hedge of protection around us. Right. And we can walk into this place, we can chase demons out of here, we can curse this place to the ground in Jesus' name, and there's nothing that the devil can do. Beautiful cars, beautiful woman. I had it all. I lived in the world. That people, my neighborhood, they were terrified who I was. They said, if you mess with that guy, your family will die. If you mess with that guy, he don't need a gun. He'll kill your family in his sleep. My daddy was awesome. My daddy was, he knew he gave me powers beyond I could imagine. He gave me powers that people had fear me. The police had fear me. The security in my neighborhood had fear me. And people that knew that I was the devil's, they would call me the devil's son. I brought Christian to the knees, not to prayer, because they had no power. It wasn't because your God wasn't all powerful. Don't get me wrong. Because your God was all powerful. The vessel was weak. The vessel had no prayer life. The prayer had no fasting life. And they had no relationship with God. There was a form of godliness in the person, but no power. The person was weak. The person had nothing going. He had a Bible. He had the right suit on. She had the right dress on. But there was no connection with Jesus Christ. Because you were out of his will. You was out of his promises. And you was out of his divine purpose. And I had you. I owned you. I had you as a slave. I broke you. I put witchcraft on you. I kept doing that to Christian after Christian after Christian after families, after churches. I chased everything down that represented the cross of Jesus Christ. Very demonic place.
So that place has an effect on the whole neighborhood, you're saying?
Oh yeah, of course. That just had this whole region on lockdown. That's the devil's throne. We just went into the devil's throne. That throne been there since the 80s. and then they go there, spend $100, $200 buying all these things, and then they broke. They're on welfare, public assistance, but they got money to buy all this junk. They think their life is going to get better. They think that their life is going to improve. They think that they're going to make progress in life. They think that they're going to break generational curses. They think they're going to break vex spells, voodoo. They think they're going to break all that. And basically, God said, I do it for you for free. Just give your life to me, and I'll set you free. But they don't want that. That's too difficult for them. That's too complicated for them. But they can walk into a place like this and drop $200 to think that their life is going to be free and going to live a life in abundance.
People
The
people are wild. Because I mean, this is like, oh, like if I buy a new journal, oh, now I'm going to be more organized. Oh, now I'm going to be this. Oh, now I'm going to be that. And it's like, it's literally kind of retraining your brain and really working on your ADD and understanding how you function. And it's putting a lot of work in. Like, it doesn't cost anything. It's just putting a lot of work in. And I feel like that's like with God too. It's like, it's not going to cost you anything. Like, yeah, you have to, give tithing and stuff, but you're giving back to the community and, helping feed people, and like you're doing good. You're putting your time in, like reading the Bible and trying to understand how to be like a better person and follow Jesus and, follow the commandments. And it's, you're learning basically to be just a better person and being able to be, how to be like set free. And it doesn't cost anything really. Like it really doesn't. It's not like you're like, continuing buying materialistic items just to be like, oh, I'm doing this to, feel happy or feel good or feel whatever. It's like, I'm giving this money because, I want to read the Bible, or I'm paying for this so other people can read the Bible or get fed, or, whatever the community needs. So it's just kind of like the internet. It doesn't mean the internet, my videos have been talking about like the internet and like how, like, oh, obviously it's not, some people use it, it is, and they're chronically online and they're, destroying their mental health, and it's like the same with money and stuff like that. It's not bad, it's just how you use it, how does it control you, or are you controlling it, basically?
That runs Haiti. His name is Candelo. I had contact with him. I had contact with demons in Miami. I had contact with Haiti. His name is Candelo. I had contact with him. I had contact with demons in Miami. I had contact with demons in Africa. I had contact with demons here in New York City, principalities that run the crossroads of the world, here on 42nd Street. Okay, there's a different principality that run the crossroads of the world here on 42nd Street. They're the ones that try to run here in this neighborhood. I didn't have a conscience. I remember I did witchcraft to my brother. I put him in jail for 5 years. The witchcraft I did to my own brother, my own flesh and blood. I did witchcraft to him. I put him in jail for 5 years. I did my other brother. There was a warlock. He came into my house one time with an attitude, and the demon jumped on him, and he ran out the house. He couldn't hold the pain in his stomach. My mother can bear witness to that. I did so much ceremonies in my body. I did so much ceremonies in my body. The last ceremony I did was not only sell my soul to the devil. I did a ceremony that I had to swallow animal blood and gunpowder. It was called Sansi. Sansi is a ceremony of Haitian and French, that you do the ceremony with a demon. So when I go to people's houses and eat, they can't put witchcraft on the food. I did that. I did all the ceremonies you can do. I knew I would go to demon church, and every year we would have a meeting, a secret meeting. All the high witches and warlocks.
Also, I know he's said it before. Well, maybe not in this video, but you can't sell your soul. The Lord owns it. You can't do anything about it. It's like if someone, buys a car and it's their car, but they let you borrow it all the time. Not your car. Like, I guess a better example is like if, when your kids, some parents will buy their kids a car, and it's still under their title and everything else, but they let the kid use it all the time, and they call it their car, but at the same time, technically it's not their car. They didn't buy it, they didn't, they don't have the title for it. It's just because, you just say it's yours. It's kind of like your soul, you can't, well, the Lord made it, he's got everything, he just lets you, he's just letting you exist.
This meeting to find out what principality we were going to usher out and bring in to run the region. We were more organized than the church itself. The kingdom of darkness was more organized than the Church of Jesus Christ. We knew how to do ceremonies. We knew how to do things before the year was over to prepare ourselves for the next year. When Christians couldn't go to church and pray for 1 hour. When Christians could go to church and have a consistent relationship with God. I even took a sabbatical from witchcraft. And the devil punished me, took my eyesight for 1 year. I was completely blind for 1 year, registered with the Commission of the Blind. I was completely blind. They was training me to use an eye-seeing dog. And they was training me to use one of these sticks that you use that you walk the streets with. My mother took care of me for 1 year. My eyes went black, and a mist of gray went over my eyes. I was completely blind. And when I gave my life back to the devil, after 7 surgeries, the devil gave me back my eyesight. And I could see again. And that was my punishment for taking 1 year off. I wanted to take off. The devil said, you want 1 year off? I'll give it to you. He took my eyesight. And that's the world I lived in. If you mess with the devil, he'll kill you, he'll kill your family. It was a fear that will grip you beyond measure, that you could not leave this religion. You could not leave Santeria, you could not leave Palamanyumbe, and you could not leave spiritualism. The doctors could not explain how I lost my eyesight. Meanwhile, Christians, and I was like, why Christians do bad, and Christians sometimes miss the mark, and the only thing that shows up in their house is grace and mercy. When you show up with the devil and you do something the devil don't like, he kills someone, he kill your family member. And when I remember the devil warned this lady, she said, you can't be with that person no more. And she didn't care because she was in love with the person. The devil, demon possessed a homeless guy in the street. He took a hammer, hit her 17 times over her head, and killed her. One day I was sitting home, and it was amazing. I came from a nightclub the night before. I was sitting home watching a show called Jerry Springer. I know, a crazy show. People beat each other up. I get joy out of that. I was getting joy out of that, laughing. For the first time, I heard a voice say to me, son, I am coming soon. What are you gonna do with your life? Or audible voice, shot from across the room. And that door was the TV that was talking to me. And I was saying, no, it can't be TV because these people are beating each other up. This boys.
See, that's crazy to me because I've never happened. I've had it like where you have like a thought and you're like, or you'll say something and it's like everyone stops in the room and everyone's processing it because what you just said was like so mind blowing, so intelligent, so. I don't even know what to say other than it's just so much to digest, and you think about it, and that's the next thing that you're talking about for the next like 20 minutes is you're just digesting that thing that you thought or that thing that you said, and you're like, oh, that was not me, that was a Jesus moment, that was that was a God moment, and you're like, holy crap, and you're like digesting it, and it personally I like when it's like around other people because everyone kind of looks at you and they're like, okay, yeah, we need to talk about it. Because I've had it happen where I'm driving home in the car from work and I'm like, I have to drive the rest of the way home. And this is 2 minutes into my drive. I'm like, I can't talk to anyone. I'm like, what am I supposed to, because the first thing I think of is like, I have to share it with someone because I'm like completely blown and I don't know what to do. And I'm just stuck in this car now because I have to drive home. And then I'm like, I'm going to have to like call and tell someone. And usually I do. I usually call one of my friends and I'm like, you'll never believe what just happened. Like, oh my God. Like, oh man. Just wild times. But I've never actually heard like an audible voice like from a distance. I've had visions too of like stuff that's happened. And it's kind of like gnawed at my brain. Like, why do I feel like this dream is certain? What's happening? Why do I feel like before my grandpa got sick, it was like I had this hugely beautiful dream. I knew I was in Ohio and I was looking at this old barn and I was watching this like light come through this barn and it was there was a sunset happening and I just remember all the colors like coming through like the barn slits because this was probably like, I don't know, 100-year-old barn, maybe even more. And so when, you know, like wood expands and contracts all the time, when you're doing that over 100 years, you know, like the stuff warps and a lot of those barns in Ohio that are over 100 years old don't get the treatment that they need. And so like some planks are falling down and whatever. But I just remember like how beautiful the light was coming through. And I know my great aunt was there and I feel like a few other people were there too. When I woke up, like the entire day, I was like, I'm going to Ohio. Why do I feel like I'm going to Ohio? Because at that time I was like, I was in college. I was in another state. I'm like, I think it was Easter. Easter was like in like a month or two or something like that. And I was like, I feel like I'm going to Ohio soon. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to go home to Ohio until like later, like in a month or two, whenever Easter was. And like, I remember thinking like, that's all I can think about all that day. And like the next day it was kind of like that too, but then I kind of like started forgetting about it. Like I remember that dream, but like it wasn't like gnawing on my mind as much. And then it was like, I don't know, maybe like a week or two later, my dad calls me up and he's like, we're going to have to take you to Ohio. Like your grandpa just had like a huge medical emergency. We don't know if he's going to make it. And I wasn't thinking at the time about that dream at all. It was like, oh, okay, so I end up going to Ohio. I end up, and we had just got done visiting my grandpa, and we were driving back, and the sun was setting, and I see this. We're passing this barn. I've passed this barn a million times. I don't know how I didn't remember it, because I remember in the dream, like once I woke up from the dream, I was like, I know that's not like where my great aunt lives. I was like, I know it's around that area. I was like, I know it's around that. I don't know where it is. We're the home, and I see the barn, and I'm staring at the barn, and I'm going, oh my God, it's the barn, and at the barn, and the sun is setting, and the light is coming through the barn, and I was like, I know we're near, home, and like near my aunt and near, the rest of my family. But I was like, what road are we on again? I'm like, I can't remember. And my dad told me, and I was like, oh my God. And like, I just had this like explosion of the brain. Like, this just happened. Like, holy crap.
I knew the voice of the devil. I was sitting with the devil like I'm sitting with you today. And he would come into human form. He would come into the room. He'll come in sometime. The presence of him would come into the room. The atmosphere changes. And I know he would sit with me, and he would talk. I knew the voice of the devil. I was sitting with the devil like I'm sitting with you today. And he would come into human form. He would come into the room. He'll come in sometime. The presence of him would come into the room. The atmosphere changes. And I know he would sit with me, and he would talk into my conscience, and we would talk back and talk all night long. I knew that too. I knew it like the back of your hand. I knew every demon, every principality that ran the region. It ran everything in America, everything in Canada, everything that ran. I knew every principality that ran, every occult, Wicca, New Age, Buddhism, Islam, Santeria, spiritualism. I knew every principality that ran. I had a contract with every principality with them. I had straight A marks with every principality, every demon on the ground, the devil, Jezebel. I had new demons that I can't even tell your name because you won't know who they are. I knew them all by name. And this voice was very different than any other voice. When I heard that voice come out of nowhere, it came out of the air, the voice. And I went into shock, and then I saw a vision from the other side of the apartment that the sky was on fire, and people underneath. I saw people running for cover, but there was no cover where to hide. And I said,
again, that's wild to me too. I've never heard like I've heard of people having visions. Like I have dreams, like those are my visions, but I've never actually seen like a vision like, I don't know, right? Like as my eyes are open.
I see that vision, so I shook it off. But I remember I went to sleep. Like a deep sleep. I was like, someone put anesthesia, and I went to sleep. I ended up in a train full of people. I couldn't believe that I was in a train full of people. And this train was going faster than you can ever imagine. I'd never been on something this fast on earth. And it went into hell. And Jesus Christ took me to hell. And when I got to hell, the doors opened. I mean, there was a slam in the doors. There was an unspeakable echo. The doors opened. And there was heat that came out of nowhere. I felt like you were going to suffocate, the heat that came out. And I got out the train, and the people in the train, they had no faces. But you could see the fear on the people on the train. You could feel the fear, the impact of the fear that they were going to a place that they were never going to return. And the place was packed. And then I tried, I said, I can't die here. I said, I can't die. This is not for me. I wasn't born to be in this place. And I was saying this to myself. I was not born to be here. So I tried to find like a tunnel in hell.
That's like, how do you not know that the devil's just going to betray you and be like, yeah, you're going to end up in hell? Like, he's not going to treat you better in hell. Like, he wants you to be there so he can torture you. That's just something I don't understand. Like, how do you not know? I mean, I guess someone who's been in church and stuff like that all their life, yeah, I'm not going to understand this perspective. Like, I'm not going to understand like how someone could be like, oh, I want to be a devil worshiper, and not realize the devil is just going to be like, I don't actually care about you. Like, I'll let you go blind. I'll let you do this. I'll let you do that. Like I'll cause you pain and suffering because I want to. Like, I guess I just don't understand that perspective of how you don't see it.
And I was walking to the tunnel. I was trying to run to the tunnels and hell, try to find a door, maybe a window, maybe there was a gap somewhere that I can come out and come back to reality. But there was no gap. And I remember as the more I went into the tunnels, the more the fear gripped me. The more the suffering, her suffering, darkness drapes over you. This fear drapes over, like you're wearing a garment. This fear drapes over you. It's something you can't even control. You have no control over. It's something like it grabs you that it don't let you go. I couldn't see the hand in front of my face. But I hear the wailing. I hear wailing. Like, you ever hear like a kid wail and an animal wail at the same time? Like, it's like the kind of wailing. It's undescribable. And it was a heat and a smell that was like if it was like in the sewers of the gutters of New York City. But I mean, but crazier than that. And then I came to a part of the tunnel. The devil showed up. He said, I was your daddy. He spoke to me the amount of time. I was your daddy. I gave you everything you needed. I took care of you. I blessed you. I protected you. I killed people for you. I did everything. I gave you powers. I gave you a name in the kingdom of darkness. I gave you a name. When people came against you, I destroyed them because I knew that you were going to be the vessel that I was going to use to move my kingdom on the earth. And now you want to leave me? Now you want to betray me in demonic tongues? And I'm talking to him back in demonic tongues and telling him, no, I'm not leaving. I'm just confused. I don't know what's going on. And he said, no, I know what you're going to do. You're going to leave me and you're going to expose my religion. You're going to expose who I am and how I operate in the spirit realm. Because I taught you things that I never taught no one else. I showed you things. I trusted you with the things that I needed you to know so you can further my kingdom. Because I wanted to use you in a greater measure way. And the confused.
See, that's fascinating because that kind of shows that demons don't know the future, but God does. Because I mean, we see the book of Revelations, we see prophets in the past, people predicting stuff because God has told them, basically, and it comes true. I mean, the biggest thing that we see prophet-wise is that we've seen come true is, I would say, Jesus himself. I mean, the whole Old Testament kind of like builds up to that, like, hey, I'm coming in human form, basically. That's what like the whole buildup is of like, one day there's, like, I'm going to be here in human form. This is how you check me. This is how you make sure it is me. So, and we see that fulfilled in the New Testament. So it's interesting to me that the demons just can't, they just don't know. Because that's what I've never understood is like, how does the devil not know like he's gonna lose? At the end of the day, that's what's gonna happen. Like how do you not know that? If you're watching people and you're reading people and they're reading this book and obviously things have come true from this book, from the Old Testament to the New Testament, we see Jesus does actually like come down and God comes for him. It's like how you hear people reading this stuff and like how are you not listening and understanding like that like you're gonna lose? I don't understand like how the devil can't see like the future in that way, because I'm like it's already been written, it's already been done. Like how do you not know? And like and if you do understand and if you do know, why do you keep fighting? Especially the God that has made everything, the universe, the people, animals, stars and planets, and like I don't know, I don't understand.
Grab me as he the cross of Jesus Christ. You understand how the devil like he was like an infant, he knocked and fell on the floor, like no powers. So I took that opportunity. I ran deeper into the gates. I ran deeper into the tunnels of hell, hoping that there was a door. My hope was there was a hope in the hope at all. There was no place to say, I'm coming out of here. This is it. This is the end. I had a fear that gripped me that I was undescribable. I never felt fear like that. I never felt a despair. It was the opposite of what heaven is. It was opposite of joy. It was opposite of gladness. It was opposite of peace. It was opposite of light from darkness. It was a place of torment, a place of, if I'm here, my family don't know I'm here. My daughter don't know I'm here. How would they find me? How would they look for me? So as I went deep into the tunnel of hell, hoping that there was a door, a window, a crack somewhere that I can get out, the devil showed up again, and now we'll destroy you. So what I did was to tell him in the demonic language, I got these marks. These are my contract to protect me, to destroy you. He said, fool, I gave you those marks. Those are my marks that I own you. I own you. No one owns you. I do. And you're going to live for me or you die. And when he went to grab me the second time around, I said, it's finished. I said, this is it. He went to grab me the second time around. The cross of Jesus Christ appeared in hell. There's no greater love than the cross that would come for a sinner like me in hell. So when they say, if I make my bed in hell, he knows I'm there. Grace and mercy showed up in hell. Grace and mercy knew my address. Grace and mercy have a plan for my life. The unspeakable, demonic, selfish ways, arrogant, self-centered ways in hell. When I was done for the count, Jesus Christ loved the misfit. And he said, I have a plan for you. I loved you beyond you can ever imagine. And he showed up in hell. And when I woke up, then my spirit came back into my body. I woke up and I bent my knee to Jesus Christ. I had $100,000 witchcraft stuff in my house. I threw witchcraft away. I threw religion away. I threw everything that had to do with darkness away. The people from Haiti, the people from Cuba, the people from Miami and New York said we have to kill him because he knows too much. We have to destroy him. We have to kill him because he knows too much. He's not one of us anymore. And they came for the kill. They did their best. They came for the kill. I was sleeping the day. To stay at night when the demons show up and tormented me for 30 days. They tormented me for 30 days. They would grab me by my throat, pick me off my bed, the room would go cold. I would lay in my bed, I felt another person lay next to me, ice cold, another person. I would look like this and I can feel the presence of that. It was the devil himself right in my bed. For 30 days, on and off, tormenting, torture, trying to steal my mind, trying to rip my soul out of my body, trying to rip my spirit out of my body. I would tremble at night, like never trembled before, 30 days, and I would cry out. I didn't know how to pray. I said, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Didn't know how to pray. I said, maybe I pray like my sister prays. I heard her in church, she prayed this way. I heard that person pray this way. I would bring all these prayers together to try to put them together like a puzzle, to try to fight for my life. And one day I was in church worshiping, and I would ask the Lord, why are you letting people, why you let this happen to me? And one day I heard the voice of God again. He said, I wanted to see how much you love me. And he said, I wanted to see how much you trust me. And never again, I was tormented by the devil. And I became an evangelist for Jesus Christ. 14 years serving, and I will never trade it for nothing in the world. And I know that in somewhere in Hallelujah Boulevard, there's a mansion for John Ramirez. And one day it says, welcome home, well done, faithful servant. And I tell you, there's nothing. I'm not talking about Christianity. I'm talking about relationship with Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. He is my Lord. He is my...
That's the important part. That's why personally, I try not to be like, oh, I'm a Christian. That's the important part. That's why personally, I try not to be like, oh, I'm a Christian. Because it's like, that's just a label. I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day. Saying I'm a Christian means nothing. It's that relationship. It's that trust. It helps people kind of identify you and kind of like understand like, oh, this is probably kind of like what they believe. But it's just a word. It doesn't describe your relationship.
And then no weapon formed against me will ever prosper. I died when Jesus said I go home. Not because of a witch, not because of a person, not because of heck, voodoo, vex, incantation, none of that can separate me from the love of God. $100 trap, selling my soul, marks here. But the biggest mark is here, is the love that I have for the cross, and nothing like the cross of Jesus Christ. And I tell you this, and I end with this. I was cursed, I became blessed, because the one that was blessed became cursed for me. And that's switched daddies. And my daddy sits in the universe. And he loved me beyond I could imagine. And that love now I can give to my daughter. And my daughter today, she's a born-again Christian, graduate from college, psychology major. And I know that God's going to use her in a greater way. Because the baton that I have, I will pass to her, the right baton this time. And I know she'll do a greater exploit than her daddy. And before I leave the earth, people will know that John Romero was here because he served Almighty God. Amen.